First of all, I want to say good evening. Tonight I will plan to share with you 4 poems. 3 of them are mine, and another one is a poem by a very famous poet from the 20th century. And I have a feeling you know his poems too, because he was not just a poet, he was a songwriter. And anyway, I'll get to talking about him later. Now, I want to warn you that I don't want you to applaud. Well, if you feel moved to express your appreciation for what I do tonight, I ask you to wait until after my closing song. The 3 poems that I'm going to be reading for you are in a category that I call journey. The poems that I write can be categorized, and these 3 and some others are in what I call journey. I think you'll understand what the journeys are when I read them. The first one, of course, is called Life Journey. I stood in darkness. I lit a candle. I found the door. I went outside. I walked away, left all behind. I looked for wisdom. I studied the book. I followed a new path. I met the master. I asked my question and received no answer. I joined the march. I took a stand. I stood my ground. I looked for more. I saw a rainbow and walked back home. It was August 13th, 2005, when I went home and found a message on my answering machine from my brother, Tom. It began very loud. He said, "Mayday, Mayday." And then Tom went on to say that he had been admitted to hospice. After 5 years of treatment for colon cancer, his death was imminent. He was in Indianapolis. I returned Tom's call and assured him I was on my way. And I arrived 2 days later, the 15th of August, and went immediately to see him. Spent several hours with him. And then I left. This poem is titled, "With You 5 Hours Later." Now 5 hours since you told me go. You said you needed rest. I received a call from hospice nurse. Said you died and I should come. And now I'm here, my brother, beside your bed, standing with your grieving wife. Her tears, her cries are matched by mine as we face our lives without you, Tom. Your hazel eyes now closed, your breath gone quiet, your need for rest now ended. New life for you means new journey for us. not what we want, but what we have. I touch your brow. She holds your hand. I offer prayer. We say amen. We turn to leave this room of sorrow. Begin to move toward new tomorrow. There are happier times for us. Weddings can be happy times. I don't know about you, but I know people who get married, and I know who they are, but I don't know how they met. I don't know how they got together. I went to a wedding last June. I knew both of them, and yet I didn't know how they met. And I really wanted to think of a way in which I could picture them together the first time. So I wrote a poem, and I gave it to them after the wedding. It was my wedding gift to them. It's titled Forever Love. And it's as if one of them is speaking to the other. Our dream began that day we met, a place and time we won't forget. You smiled at me. Your eyes did too. And then you saw me smile at you. Across the room, we could not speak. So I stepped out a path to seek. The crowd was vast, but I pushed on to where you were. But you were gone. How could it be? I looked again at empty space where you had been. And then I looked where I had been and saw you there with playful grin. You mouthed the words, "Please stay right there." I did not move, I did not dare. With warm hello, you greeted me. And I responded nervously, "Hello." I stayed at your command. You grinned at me, reached for my hand. We hit it off that day we met, and glory be we had it yet. At times we fight and disagree. We state our cases mightily. But we found ways to be together through stormy days and sunny weather. And so today, with loved ones near, we say, "I do," with voices clear, and clasp our hands as outward sign that we are blessed with love divine. Our dream began that day we met, a place and time we won't forget. This love of ours, a dream come true, forever me with forever you. There were about 150 or more people in that church that day. We were all witnesses when Nick and Victor said, "I do." Wait a minute, I've got notes here somewhere. I told you about the other poet that I was going to quote. A 20th century poet. He's a man whose family immigrated to the United States from Russia at the end of the 19th century. His poetry is known to us because of the music that he wrote. His original name was Israel Bailin, but we know him as Irving Berlin. The interesting thing about the poem, or maybe the song, that I have for you tonight, is that it is made up entirely of questions It is as though a man is restating questions that his girlfriend has given to him, and then he answers that question with a question. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it's a great song. Where did you hear it? The song is titled, "How Deep is the Ocean?" You know it? The first verse, it starts out, you never hear these words or remember them, but this is how it starts. How can I tell you what is in my heart? How can I measure each and every part? How can I tell you how much I love you? How can I measure just how much I do? And then the question, how much do I love you? And the response begins with a statement, I'll tell you no lie. And the question, how deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? And another question, how many times a day do I think of you? And the answer in a question, how many roses are sprinkled with dew? A question, how far would I travel to be where you are? And the answer, how far is the journey from here to a star? And a question, and if I ever lost you, how much would I cry? And then the affirmation, how deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? Thank you.